I'm doing an experiment that way.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. That experiment is going to blow up. Hey, you ain't got the right mixture up in there. Hey, too big. You need a little bit more motor mouth mall up in there. It'll be just right. Hey, too big. While you doing an experiment. Motor mouth mall cruising. They got down brake.
Hey, motor mouth mall drop.
Yeah, bartender, drummer boy, why, you out there as part of the experiment right there. Hey, drummer boy, you are now officially part of that experiment. Oh, dear, drummer boy, motor mouth mall waving and stepping, I got down break.
General, yeah, here's all this
You know, and sometimes experiments have, good things that come from them, and sometimes bad things. It all depends on perspective. I got down break.
Yeah, it's only a test.
You are over 21, right?
He's on to 21 because he can't talk on the radio. Hey, Lady T-Bird. Hey, Lady T-Bird, he's only on to 21 because he can't talk on the radio to break.
Dirty Sanchez, old judge in the courtroom.
Take that down. You be a messy, but I'm loving it. Lady T-Bird's out.
Yeah, Lady T-Bird, yeah, I'll tell you what, you smoking up there. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon time to you. It's 3:30 it's a good evening time around your neck of the woods. Hey, Lady T-Bird, motor mouth mall waving right back at you, bring.
Yeah, they say people photobomb. I had to come in here and say I heard some familiar voices, and just wanted to say hey to you guys. Y'all have a good one. I'm out.
And you have a good day, too. Enjoy to its fullest. Good evening, Tom. Hope you had a real happy Labor Day yesterday. I did. I had a productive, happy Labor Day and got a lot done and got to sit back and relax. But guess what? I did that today, too, to break.
Hey, Motor Mouth Mall, I'm going to wave a hand if you got any kind of Mother Nature on nobody over here around the backwoods.
Number 8, I appreciate that. Hey, number 8, I heard you, I did. I heard Lady T-Bird up in there was answering back something there, and then I heard you roll up in there from the land of no reflex. Hey, number 8. I heard you did motor mouth mall waving and stepping, one fat watt at a time. I got down break. Oh, Sidewinder. Hey, Sidewinder, I heard you sneak up in there too. Been a long time. Hey, Sidewinder, been a long time since I heard you doing your thing out of New Jersey. Sidewinder, if you got a sloppy copy. Motor mouth mall working this ball peen hammer got down break.
Hey, Motor Mouth Mall, I believe he was in jail. That's why you haven't heard him in a while. Motor Mouth Mall, I'm getting down.
Before you say he was in jail, yeah, that's why I didn't hear him for a while. You said he was in jail, the break. He was in the big house. That's what you said, the break.
Put in a real layman's term so everybody understand. That top nigga was in jail. Put in plain English, he was locked up. I'm just
You said put it in plain English. Now, wait a second. I don't know about the whole story that goes along with that, but you said put it in plain English, Motor Mouth Mall. Tell everybody he was in jail. He was locked up there, break. Now, I don't know what the rest of that story was, the break.
Hey, Cap Nigga got caught shoplifting for the third time. He got caught shoplifting for the third time.
He was stealing skip. He was shoplifting or stealing skip for the third time to break. That's a third strike. He done got caught for stealing skip for the third time to break.
Hey, 3 M's in a row. 1, 2, 5. What no can I say? Tell me we got a appeal. Put on the real motor.
Yes, boy. 410 on the appeal. Hey, hello, 2125, low to the ground. I heard you up in there, 2AR and horse. I heard you roll up in there, I did. Motormouth Mall, cruising this thing, one fat watt at a time. I know the rest of the west side is out there dropping a hammer and trying to get up in your radio, so I ain't going to stay too long. I just want to say hello and hey, and howdy doody. Hope everything is well and slow around the east side. Motormouth Mall working this thing, got down right there, breaker.
Back to my cold one, I see.
Okay, you're going to go back to the cold one. Appreciate you bumping it down in the world of sound there, young T-Bird. And 125, you say everything is all swell and well around your neck of the woods. Good to hear you both up in there dropping in hammers out there around the west side. Motormouth Mall working his ball peen mall. One fat watt at a time. I got down, breaker.
Hey, Motormouth Mall, can I get 2 or 1? Hey, Motormouth Mall, can I get 2 for 1? I'm trying to get myself 2 for 1. Motormouth Mall, 4 aces, got that.
Hey, 4 aces, you're looking for the blue light special. Hey, 4 aces, you're looking for the blue light special. You want to get 2 for 1. Hey, 4 aces, you got 2 for 1. I guarantee tell you that. You rolled up in here, took them both out. Hey, 4 aces, I'll see what you're doing up in there, break.
Yeah, 410 on that Motormouth Mall. I was just checking it out, make sure I get myself 2 for 1. You know, it's 2 for 1 Tuesday on that side. I thought I'd go ahead and take advantage. Never know you later. Motormouth Mall, 4 aces with the 2 for 1. It's clear.
Gender 4 aces. 2 for 1 Tuesday. And you got them. You got them both. You got both of them. You got both of them right there, right now. Hey, 4 aces. Good to hear you up in there while you're working a 2 for 1 Tuesday. Motormouth Mall dropping a hammer from time to time, keying all the ducks. Keying on the big stations, and keying all the rest of the great big nation when I get an opportunity. Hello to you one more time, 4 aces. Motormouth Mall, working this ball peen mall, and we're still in the build out mode. We got another 6.5 dB to go. Hey, 4 aces, we got another 6.5 dB to go to break.
Hey, that's just too much for one night. Hey, Motormouth Mall, you ain't
Four aces. You know my motto. Hey, 4 aces, you know my motto. Too much is almost enough. Hey, 4 aces. Ain't no such thing as too much, and too much is almost enough to break.
I know some sweet things say that too, but yeah, that's another story. Hey, Motormouth Mall, I do know a few sweet things that I can recite that, but that's another story for another day. Drop it down on you later. Motormouth Mall, 4 aces laughing, they got died.
410 to 4 aces. You say you know some sweet things that go by the same motto too, but you said that's a story for another day. Hey, 4 aces, you said that's a story for another day. Ain't no doubt about that. Well, I tell you what, right here, right now, this day, this particular 10:36, you got that mall down, 4 aces. Motormouth Mall, your West Coast beast looking east. I got down, break.
And I'm going to let 125 and Young T-Bird get their swerve on. Tell them they're free to go about the band. Tell them they're free now. Motormouth Mall, 4 aces got down just like that.
Freedom. Hey, 4 aces, they're free to go and play with their radios. You're going to give them their radios back. Hey, 4 aces. You're going to give them their radio. You said you're going to give 125 and Young T-Bird their radios back. Is that what you said there, Break? Did I hear that right?
Mall, the young man is getting down.
I heard you both up in there. Hey, you said I got that right, and then I heard young man. Hey, T-Bird, I heard you up in there. 125, I heard you up in there too. Woo-wee, you guys smoking out here. Let me get my knees up in the breeze. Motormouth Mall working this West Side Mall. Got down, break. Hey, I gotta do something real fast. I gotta meet somebody somewhere, see if I can do some local talking. And I'll be back. It's 3:30. So, I'll be back. Y'all take care. Blessings and good graces. Your West Coast Beast. Got down, breaker.
That is mud duck in that damn dog pound, cause you got that damn hammer down. Bye, Motor Mama. Hey, Motor Mama, young T-Bird, say good night, man. Hey, Motor Mama, young T-Bird, say good night. Take care, Motor Mama, young T-Bird is getting down.
Okay, good night there, young T-Bird. Take care, blessings and good graces. You and Lady T-Bird enjoy the evening to its fullest, and we'll catch you another time, another way. Motormouth Mall stepping. I'm going to see if I can turn this antenna and see what happens. Hey, I got to figure out what this is going to do. All right, catch you later. I'm out. Bye. Young T-Bird, Great Lakes, Michigan, reading the mail, and I'm off and running. I'll see you. Have a good evening.
Don't run into nothing, Big John. Hey, Big John, don't run into nothing. Walk, don't run, Big John, I'm out.
Or can I walk? Don't run. I ain't gonna stub my toe.
Don't run, walk, I'm out. Bye-bye.
Bye. Don't run, walk. I'll see you.
I ain't running nowhere. Motor Mama, the young man, got down. Turn. Hey, Motor Mama, can you turn? Can you wave at 28 before? I ain't gonna do it.
Hey, Bobby Boucher, where are you?
Yeah, you just about took out the receive on this radio there, 10-4.
10-4, you got this thing pointed the right direction.
Yeah, man, that's blowing smoke. Sounded good. What, did you get the rotor set up, get everything working?
Yeah, 10-4. Yep, it's all functional. And 360 degrees. And, yeah, it's working good. You know what I did is I got the, I can probably turn off the big box, but I put the three-phase half horsepower motor up there. and then I ran a single-phase to three-phase converter, and then the single-phase to three-phase converter had a RS-485, 4 wires for the front panel. And I just extended those 4 wires all the way from the doghouse into the studio here via some Cat 5 cable. And now I've got the control over it, speed and direction right here. And so it works pretty good there, Braden.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know last time you were, I think strong-arming it, you had a problem with it. But yeah, I mean, You're hitting me about 50 over 9, so even with the box on last time I was out here, I think with the box on you were doing about 20 over 9. So it sounds like, you definitely got it. It sounds to me like you're able to turn it a little bit further than, what was it, 270 degrees? I don't remember, but whatever you're doing, man, it seems like it's pointing straight at me over here.
Yeah, I was not able to look directly at you before, but I can now. And Fireball, no, I didn't get I almost slipped. I didn't get the Ucket truck fixed. The bucket truck. That's it. I didn't get a little bit of a sore subject. I didn't get it fixed yet. I'm waiting for the guy. He's busy. He keeps shining me on, so I might have to find somebody else. But anyway, no, it's still sitting out there in the field with the leak in the upper cylinder. But, yeah, shoot, man. I tell you, it makes a big difference being able to point this antenna somewhere. All the difference in the world. Motor Mouth Mall cruising. Yeah, that does suck. Hey, Bobby Boucher, Motor Mouth Mall, we're going to say I might turn the big box off. There ain't no point in firing down 3,000 watts to talk 6 miles, break. Oh, I got to unkey.
Well, it sounds like you're hitting those guys out there around the bluegrass off the side of the beam.
No. That's Fireball down there in Southern California on YouTube there, break.
I was saying I hear somebody out of Kentucky rolling up in there. So yeah, man. Yeah, you're reaching out there.
Oh, right, sure, yeah. I can't hear anything but you. Let me go turn the big box off. So we were at 3K, now we're down at 125 watts. It should be a little bit more friendly to your meter there, break.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, this meter will go up to 60 dB, and it didn't really cause any issues. You're down about, you were sitting at 20 and swinging to 25 over 9, which is pretty good, But the audio didn't change. It sounds the same. So it sounds like it's pretty linear. It sounds like you got it pretty dialed in.
So that's where I am now, or that's where I was with the big bucks?
Yeah, that's where you are now. You're bouncing between 20 and 25 over 9 right now. Earlier, you were, just when you had the big box on, you were pretty much sitting up there at 55 over 9. So that's like 30 dB difference right there.
Roger. Very good. Okay. Oh, I got to turn off my inverter. Hang on here. I left there's a noise in my receiver. If I forget to turn off the single phase to 3-phase converter, I get a noise in my receiver. So I got to remember, I can only, I turn it on to move the antenna, and then I turn it off real fast. And if I just turn the speed control down for zero movement and leave the thing on, I get a noise in the receiver. But yeah, I just turned my attenuator all the way up. You were at about 9 S units, or a little over 9, and I turned the attenuator up. Now we'll see where you are.
Yeah, 10-4. I think normally that's about where I'm at, about 9 S units. And I think last time when you did turn the attenuator off, I went up to like 10 over 9, or maybe not. No, it wasn't 10 over 9. It was just a couple dB over 9. But you weren't pointing right at me either, so maybe it's a little bit more now.
Yeah, you're 15 over 9. Rock solid 15 over 9. Looks real good. And sounds real good. So, yeah, you're just smoking. Good to hear you coming into town. I saw that text earlier. I thought, man, I should be by the radio around 3:30, and I totally forgot about it. I turned the radio on, and I got down there on the bowl and was making a little bit of noise, getting a couple lucky pop shots in every now and again, like I do. And I saw that text roll in. I thought, oh, shoot, he's here. Oh, shoot, it's past 3:30. And there you are. So, yeah, I think everything is working good. I'm hoping my playbacks are going to work well. I'll try a playback for you. I mean, they work. I just, my tonal balance and all that stuff, I hope they work well with your audio.
Yeah, 10-4. Yeah, I'd like to hear it. Boy, I'll tell you what, though, man, I had some issues. I have a T connector in here that I use to pick up my REA, to get my REA connected into the computer. And that damn thing actually fell apart. I mean, it was a cheap one. It wasn't a good one. I picked it up. I don't even remember where, man. I think I only paid a couple bucks for it. But it lasted probably 4 years, 5 years maybe. But the damn thing fell apart, so I picked up another one. I picked up actually an Amphenol, so it should be good to go. But it ended up changing the impedance in the system, or something changed. I don't know what it was, but all of a sudden I started getting some weird oscillation on my carrier, and I had to start moving ferrites around and everything, and I got it figured out, but, you know, kind of a pain in the neck.
10-4, well, I'm glad you got it figured out. Man, that audio is bodacious. Let me play this back and just see what this does here real fast. This is going to either be a complete flop or it'll go pretty well. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, 10-4. Yeah, I'd like to hear it. Boy, I'll tell you what, though, man, I had some issues. I have a T connector in here that I use to pick up my REA, you know, to get my REA connected into the computer.
Man, in my headphones, you sound exactly the way you sound when you came in here the first time. I mean, your playback is exactly right.
Okay, yeah, well, the playback that I'm hearing out here, I'm hearing a lot of distortion, actually. Low-end distortion, like I'm running too much bass in the audio, and the highs are pretty distorted. So, I mean, but the good thing is it doesn't sound tight or squeezed. Sounds like maybe the levels might be up a little bit too high.
I'll double check the levels, but I think what it was is more a matter of your modulator. You got the modulator on your radio right now, and so your bandwidth is wider, and you've got more bottom end than what your stock receiver is made to hear. And so I'm playing you back with the same bottom end that you're giving me. But that's more bottom end than what your radio, I think, likes. So I have a sneaking suspicion your receiver may be more of the issue with that low frequency energy. But let me just double check my levels and make sure that my playback wasn't too hot. Let me go back and play that one little bit back again here.
Yeah, 10-4. Yeah, I'd like to hear it. Boy, I'll tell you what, though, man, I had some issues. I have a T connector in here that I use to pick up my REA, you know, to get my REA connected into the computer. And
I don't hear any.
I mean, it was a cheap one. It wasn't a good one.
I don't hear anything bad in there at all. It sounds perfectly crystal clear on the 148 and the SDR and the Drake R8B. So what I'm hearing sounds real good over here.
Yeah, 10-4. Okay, well, good deal. Well, yeah. Well, you know that issue I was talking about with the oscillation. Do you know what would cause that? Is that an impedance thing? Why that would do that? I'm just curious. Out of curiosity, I'm trying to understand why it would do that.
Well, I'm not sure exactly where the bad connection was, but chances are is twofold. One, that the impedance mismatch or impedance issue will certainly cause it because impedance changes with frequency, hence the name impedance instead of resistance. So it certainly would cause something weird. And then, of course, the failure on those connectors is probably that little ring that holds that collar on, and that came loose, so you probably had a faulty ground or minimal ground. So ground was starting to be searched for elsewhere in the system there, Greg.
Yeah, it was definitely, that caused my SWRs to go through the roof. I mean, that when the old one failed, I mean, that's where I had that issue. But when I put the new one on, that's when I got that weird oscillation. And it went away when I moved the ferrites around to a different spot. I didn't actually add more to anything. I just moved one from one place and another one to another place, and it stabilized it, you know. Because you know how it is on the RA. You can see your carrier. You know, you can see if there's any noise in there or if it's doing any kind of weird wavy thing. But once I did that, then it was fine. But yeah, so what is that, the wavy thing that you see on the carrier? I mean, that's like some strange oscillation starting in there. Isn't that what that is?
It could very well be. It could be anything that causes the carrier to modulate, you know, to change amplitude one way or the other. It isn't necessarily oscillation. You can't really distinguish between oscillation versus acoustical feedback or anything like that on a scope. You would need a spectrum analyzer to actually see that, I believe. I mean, some things you could see. You can see a real high frequency that you can't hear. You might see like a lot of envelope growth at, say, one frequency up about, say, I don't know, way up above human hearing. And you might see it if you slow the scope down enough, but I don't think that's what you're experiencing. Hard to say what that is for sure, but I also don't know why putting a good connector would cause an issue of any kind whatsoever. You didn't change jumper length settings or anything like that. The only thing I could think of is if there were any other grounds being made somewhere in the system that either are now or are not or were no longer being made. Somewhere in the way something touched or rubbed up against something else to complete a circuit. Hard to say.
Yeah, 10-4. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I was asking, because it didn't make sense to me either. That was the only thing that I changed out of the system was just the T connector, and that to me seems pretty straightforward. If it's gonna connect and do what it's supposed to do, then it will. If it doesn't, then it won't. But ferrites around. Maybe there was some RF getting in on a power wire that was feeding the radio or something, because I did have to move one of those. Could have been, I don't know. Who knows, man? RF is a weird little thing.
Well, I just moved the antenna around a little bit, and I got back to 0. I got a little bit past 0, and of course you faded out to nothing. But I got back to where I was looking at you before, when I couldn't turn my antenna very far, and your signal is significantly stronger now than it was last time. And I'm wondering if something else didn't change. It seems to me that your output of your station is stronger. Now, I know your watt meter and all that stuff probably shows the same, but you're getting more RF out of your mobile than you did before, I think.
Okay, now that's interesting, because I don't think it's your imagination. Because there was a couple. I've actually gotten comments on that before, last couple days, and so. Yeah. When I'm looking at my meter, it's the same. I'm keying just a little over 100. PEP's just a little over 600. That's all the same. But yeah, I've gotten a comment from one of our locals out there that I was coming in stronger than the normal as well. I was even getting over the skip, and he's nearly 20 miles away from me. So yeah, I don't know. It's strange. You'd think I'd see some kind of difference over here, but. Everything from my end, my perspective, it looks the same. But, I don't know. Maybe that T connector was doing something weird. It was, I don't know, man. I just keep thinking some kind of weird impedance thing.
Well, I think you're right. I think there was a weird impedance change up there of some sort. And hard to say what direction or exactly what. But, you're parked in the same spot, looking exactly the same direction. And your signal strength over here is stronger. So, and I moved the antenna all the way from one extreme to the other, and you'll see it on the YouTube video gate. By the way, just so you know, we're into this gate right now at 28 minutes. I believe you rolled up here probably about 8 minutes ago or thereabouts. I'm not sure, but anyway, the first part of the gate's the Super Bowl, and then the next part of the gate is you. And there won't be a whole lot in the gate on the Super Bowl with you up in there, because for one, we're not on the bowl. I guess we're on 14. Well, I guess that's probably the biggest reason, right? But the other thing is I'm pointed northwest, and past Santa Maria, there's nothing but ocean over there. So anyway, the back of my antenna, the back corner of my antenna is pointed east. So we won't hear a whole lot of stuff getting in there unless it's awfully strong to break.
470 Arkansas, break.
Yeah, 10-4. I just heard Arkansas cruise up in there right when you got off the key. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I don't know, man. I put this chain together, I don't know, a few days ago, and it seemed a little bass heavy to me in my headphones. It didn't sound distorted or anything. You're not hearing distortion up there and through anything that you got going up there, right? I know the SDR shouldn't, but the 148, you said it sounded pretty good. Yeah, I'm curious as to if it's just a little bit too much for, a lot of standard radios out there.
I'll tell you what, I heard Arkansas too, and that means they probably heard you real good because you're pointed that direction more so than I am. So I'm gonna let you ask them what they think. But my answer is, you sound absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't pull any bass out. I don't think I'd add any either. I think I'd leave it like it is. I would leave the reverb like it is. I wouldn't change a darn thing. It sounds absolutely flawless over here. And when you hear the video, I think you're going to think the same thing. But see if Arkansas can get back into your radio real fast. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm pointing directly south, so I'd be hitting him off the side of my truck. It's pretty much the weakest point. But how about that Arkansas station? Bobby Boucher down here around Santa Maria, California, standing by.
For a little bit, y'all sounded real good down here in the Razorback state today. Go east.
Yeah, I didn't get the 28. You got Bobby Boucher. Go ahead there, Break.
Yeah, man, 470 on Arkansas, man. You sounded good here today. Appreciate the comeback.
Yeah, 10 Roger. Well, I appreciate you letting me know this thing's doing all right out there. Yeah, John and I were just kind of going over some audio, and definitely appreciate your feedback, no doubt about it. Anyway, man, you have a good rest of your afternoon. Bobby Boucher back out. I'll see you.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, both y'all's making a good trip here in Arkansas. Y'all got the real good seeing the radios coming in across the band here today. Appreciate both y'all there. I appreciate the comeback. 470 with Arkansas. We're going to be standing by.
Joe 470. All right, man. You have a good evening. We'll catch up with you later on, and I'm gonna get off the key and let John talk to you.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
470. I'll just say hello real fast and wave 4 friendly fingers and a thumb around your neck of the woods. And Bobby Boucher is over here in Santa Maria. He's a Mobile, and I'm working this thing here, the back of the antenna, looking your way. So I'm surprised you can even hear me. Hello to you. One more time, Motormouth Mall, stepping 8470, your West Coast. Undermodulated beast got down right there, Break.
Yes, sir, that Motormouth Mall, man, we hear you there a lot, man. We break these channels a lot of times, and man, every time we hear you, mate, you sounding good here in Arkansas. Got about the best sounding station that we've heard on the radio there, but you sound good. I appreciate you coming back here, and have a good 470 Razorback State standing by.
410. I see Mother Nature shifting a little bit. I'm getting some atmospheric fading a little bit, so I definitely hear you roll up in there, but it's starting to fade out and get a little bit weird there. That's not your radio station's fault. That's the fault of Mother Nature and her promiscuity right now. She kind of gets around, dips and dabs, flips and flops and bucks and weaves, chucks and jives. You know how she does from time to time. Take care. 470 around Arkansas, Motormouth Mall, stepping, and back to Bobby Boucher, your West Coast. Undermodulated beast. Got down. By the way, Bobby Boucher, I have never, ever, ever in my life, even when I ran my Mobile, heard a Mobile that sounds as good as yours. No. Get back in the driver's seat. Hey, Bobby Boucher, that thing sounds 10-8, Break.
Yeah, 10 Roger. I appreciate it, John. Yeah, you know, this doing this whole processing thing in one of these trucks, I don't know what it would be like to try it in a typical car, you know, or SUV or something. But yeah, it's not without its challenges. But I like punishment, man, so I keep coming after it. There, Roger.
Roger. Well, I tell you what, you got it dialed in, and you got the recipe now. So if you ever really did want to apply that to any other vehicle, you could. Yeah, I mean, you're in the most difficult of difficult situations. You know, when that thing has got the engine running and you're in regen mode and all that. I mean, even when you say that you're in regen mode and it's loud, I really don't hear it that well over the radio. I mean, you've got your noise canceling, all the stuff is working so well over there for you that you really can't tell. And so whatever recipe you've got right now, whatever you've stumbled across, however you've done it, you can apply that to any Mobile you ever want to, and always sound just as good. And it's just, that's amazing. Imagine what would happen if you didn't have any background noise. Imagine if you were retired, off the road, in your studio, at home. Man, with total control over how little room noise there is and all that kind of stuff. Holy smoke, I can't wait.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes, and that's the biggest adversary I have in here. I mean, the RF thing is one thing, I mean, you're gonna have RF no matter what you're doing or where you're at. It's typically a little bit, well, I can't say it's worse in a mobile because I've never had a base station. It all depends on the power level, of course, but yeah, it's the background noise, man. That's the hardest thing to get around. Well, actually, you can't get around it. You're going to have to deal with it, and it always degrades the audio. There's no way around it. It just, when you're pulling out that much background noise, I mean, just sitting here, it's about, it bounces between 78 and 80 dB of ambient noise in this truck, just sitting here idling. And I set my gating up to where when I'm rolling down the road, it sounds the same. So when I'm rolling down the road, it'll hit 82, every once in a while 83 dB. 2 dB at that level is a lot. I mean, it's 3 dB is like twice as loud. So it's one thing that you got to do what you got to do. I mean, I'm not gonna stop doing something because something's challenging. I'm gonna try to figure it out, and if I can, then I can. But yeah, I'm always looking forward to that whole getting off the road and actually having a studio set up, man. The audio quality would sound so much better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, it'd be really cool, you could double the studio as a listening room for stereo and all that kind of stuff and do some real cool sound treatments and deadening and that kind of thing. And of course, apply that to the studio, even though it would, primarily be done to make the listening environment flat and keep the room from having, standing waves and harmonics and issues. I've been dealing with that with my listening room lately. As a matter of fact, I'm building some diffusers and bass traps for the room. I built the room exactly the right size with non-parallel walls and the right height, shape, length, distance, depth and width to minimize standing waves. But there's always standing waves. So I've been playing games now with that kind of stuff. That's my next endeavor over here. And it'd be neat to do all that to a listening room and then also have your radio, your studio be built into that room. Maybe not have the RF equipment in that room, obviously not, no fans, nothing weird like that. But, have your studio, your mic, your desk, your monitor, your SDR, all that in that room. And it wouldn't interfere with the stereo stuff, and it wouldn't interfere with movies, home theater stuff. And at the same time, it'd be a great environment to have super sounding audio that you could then build on and all that kind of stuff. And you'd think, it doesn't make much difference when you use audio processing and so on and so forth. But the old adage, garbage in, garbage out, applies. So, yeah, that would be very cool, man. I'll tell you, looking forward to that in the future. And I, by the way, in the listening room, I did some interesting stuff. I got my 18-inch tapped horns back in there again, and there's two of those 18-inch, 8.5-foot tall tapped horns that unfold to 16 feet long, almost. And they're in that room. And I got them on a big amplifier. And then I got the crossover set at about 70 hertz, and I'm running some non-crossover, full range, drivers in the medallion cabinets. And the medallions are rear-loaded horns. And oh my God, no crossovers, no crossover distortion, clean, clear, loud, imaging is incredible. And so yeah, I've just got a little bit of a issue with the low frequencies. The room rings a little bit down at about 3 different frequencies, and a little bit longer delay than I want down there. So bass traps and there's some membrane bass traps, tunable membrane bass traps, and some absorption bass traps are going to be in the near future here. So anyway, back into the swing again of that. They're break.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what though, the bass is the hardest to deal with. I mean, you got wavelengths, 40 feet long. I mean, they're pretty difficult to deal with. I mean, it's going to be. I think that's probably the biggest challenge people have. I know for me in the past, it's always been a challenge. you know, you do the thing called a bass crawl. You know, what you do is you set the sub up in your listening position, you crawl around the room, you know, and listen to where the bass sounds perfect. Then you move the sub to that spot and then tweak it. I mean, that works in some rooms, but it doesn't work in all rooms. Bass traps are good, but you know, they're pretty minimal in their effect. I mean, it's a tough one. You know, getting the mids and the highs to, you know, get the sound stage and the imaging correct. I mean, that's always going to be, well, it's everything. The electronics, you know, the speakers themselves, and of course the placement of the speakers. But, you know, getting those lows dialed in, that's the biggest part.
Yeah, 410, absolutely. You know, the good thing I've got going in my favor here is that my room is a room within the big room, right? And I don't have any neighbors or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is at the high pressure points, my first plan of attack, before I actually implement the tuned membranes and or absorptive bass traps. Absorption bass traps need to be physically deep. They've got to be physically large, or they're not going to work. And so the room isn't real big, but what I'm going to do is find the high pressure zones, and I'm going to actually cut into the wall ports in the wall of the room to allow that high pressure area, that bass at those zones, to actually escape the room and let that wave carry on through that port. And if I can get the port diameter right and all that, and in the right location, then the standing wave that would normally, you know, build up in that area would actually blend out into the other part of the shop. And then I would use the walls in the shop and absorption and diffusion and all that to still control the mids and the highs, but let the bass leak out, so to speak. And then, you know, maybe do a little bit mild bass trapping with just absorption. But we'll see where that works. Most people don't have that luxury, you know, but I've got that luxury to actually create leaks in the room where I want them to be. Also, I have not finished the ceiling yet, and I'm going to do a slotted ceiling. I was going to put insulation. I was going to put drop lights, you know, canned lights, then insulation, and then plywood flooring on top of that room. And I don't think I'm going to do that now. I think now what I'm going to do is actually not put lights in the ceiling at all, cut slots or holes, strategic slots and holes in the ceiling, and then let that be partially a reflective surface as well as a place where any standing waves or high pressure areas can get out into the rest of the shop, and you know, and then, you know, see where that goes, because there's no real need necessarily to make that flooring above there. I was going to use it for storage space, but so I've got the ability to let the room leak a little bit, which I think may end up helping out quite a lot in the low frequencies. Because yeah, they're, you know, those wavelengths are 40 feet long, and you know, you're going to have them bouncing around the room and canceling out other frequencies and themselves, and so many things that just are absolutely horribly wrong with that scenario.
Yeah, that is pretty cool, because that is a luxury that most people don't have. You know, most people can't go, you know, I think I'm just going to cut some holes in my walls, big old extra doorways. You know, I mean, if you got that, obviously you got that ability, and it's no harm and no foul. That would be interesting. I've never heard of anybody doing that, but, you know, logically speaking, if those sound waves, those big waves get in that port, so to speak, and they got somewhere to go, they're not coming back into the room, so it seems like it should work. Now on the ceiling you were talking about, can you make a pitched ceiling? Because that's always the best option.
Well, the ceiling is actually already done. The studs are done. The ceiling's done, but it is flat. Unfortunately, the walls are not in parallel. The front and back walls are not parallel, and the side walls are not parallel to each other. The room is, I believe, it was 9 by 9 tall. 9 tall, 12 or 13 wide, and 17 long. I believe were the dimensions. I forgot. There were inches in there as well, but I forgot what they were. But it's been so long ago. But the ceiling, unfortunately, was flat. I should have made the ceiling and the floor non-parallel, too.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been up there. I remember the room. I mean, it's a nice room. Yeah, like a pitched, vaulted kind of ceiling kind of thing. Not really vaulted, but, where you have like a steeple kind of thing. That always works really well because a lot of those frequencies would get up in there and cancel each other out and not come back down to listening level. But you said you already got that much complete. Maybe what you're talking about doing the slots, I mean, logically, that sounds like that would work well, too. I mean, you think about it. I mean, it's kind of absorption and diffusion, slotted like that. So it definitely couldn't hurt.
Sure, exactly, yep. So I think that might be a good way to go instead of having an absolute hard surface on the ceiling. And then I've got for absorption for high frequencies to strategically place some absorption panels from Cuesta Peak when I was close by an installation where they were doing a bunch of big, huge Andrews microwave drums and ginormous drums, and they had a whole bunch of extra black corrugated 4-inch thick 2-foot by 4-foot panel absorption materials that they would put inside the drums to minimize ringing in the drums. And they put it all in there, and they had extras. So I think I've got 8 of them, or 8. I think I've got 8 of them. Anyway, I've got 8 of those, and I'm going to build frames for them. And then I don't know if I'm going to leave them black or not, but I might just get some cloth and see if I can sweet talk Jackie into building me some pillowcases, essentially, to put them in with some color to them, and then put them in a frame and hang them up in strategic spots for the high frequency, first reflection high frequency absorption.
Oh yeah. That's a tricky thing, man. I mean, the only way to really figure that out is to get out there and start trying different things, because even if you have a bottomless pit of money, to spend on room treatment, at the end of the day, unless you have the equipment and the microphones and doing frequency sweeps and sound analyzers to figure out where all the exact problems are, it's always going to be trial and error. And yeah, man, if you can get away with it on the cheap, that's the absolute best way to go. And then there's the opposite end of it too. I mean, you can get the room too dead. It does need to be a little bit live, otherwise it's not going to sound right. But you don't want it too live because all the issues that come with that. But yeah, it's all trial and error.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I've got Room EQ, REW, Room EQ Wizard. I've got that, and it's really, really a cool tool, and it lets you see all the problem areas and standing waves and the whole 9 yards. It's really a slick tool, so I'll be able to use that, and I have the calibrated microphone and the calibrated file for the microphone, so everything is the real deal. So I've got measuring equipment, I've got sound generating equipment, it's got its own sound generation built into it, but anyway, I've got all that built in, so I'll be able to actually get all that dialed in. So I'll be able to get imaging, I'll be able to get reflections down to a minimum and have just enough reflection to make it sound good. Yeah, you don't want it too dead. I think that would sound pretty horrible, but you want a certain degree of reflection, but you don't want problem areas, and you want it flat, pretty much equal, and not too ridiculous. And certainly the bottom end and all that, upper mids, lower mids, and upper bottom end, and way down low, of course, those are problems. Just in moving my subs around and relocating the couch and using REW, Room EQ Wizard, the music sounds so musical. The bottom end, the bass notes, every single bass note has its musical characteristic tone. It doesn't sound like a boombox. It doesn't sound muddy. It doesn't sound thumpy. It sounds good, but and I can't really tell you I can hear any artifacts I don't like. But I can tell you that I know I don't have any room treatment, and I know REW shows issues. My ears aren't trained well enough to be able to say, oh, yeah, I hear that. But I know that once I get rid of it, I'm going to be happy. So, and then I will know what it sounds like. Once I get rid of it, I will actually have learned and trained my ears to know what to look for. It's kind of like if you're doing audio processing on a PC or on any audio processing for a radio application, and you listen to multiple receivers, and you hear particular artifacts. You don't really know what you're listening to until you know what you're listening to, and then you can pinpoint stuff. And it applies, across the whole doggone spectrum,
Yeah, 100%. And that's true, especially like what you were saying for listening to music, critical listening. And it's, of course, true for what we're doing with the processing. It comes down to, like you were saying, it is kind of ear training, but it's getting used to knowing what things should sound like. The better systems I've listened to over the years, and some systems are just like mind-blowing. I just can't believe all the sound that I'm hearing, the things I've never heard before. And hearing that low end, when, like what you were talking about, you can hear all the nuances, the frequencies. The bass sounds clean and clear and musical, and not just heavy and punchy and bassy. It's got character. It's part of music. And the more you expose yourself to hearing higher end systems and sound, it does adapt your ears and your brain to knowing what to listen for. But man, the low end is so tricky. I mean, everything below 200 hertz. I mean, you could have a null, you could have a peak, in a certain spot and not in another spot. I mean, it's nearly impossible to get it completely flat. But really, all you're really trying to do is to get it just right for that listening position. And sometimes that's the best you can hope for. I mean, unless you got a couple $1 million laying around and you can pay, somebody a few $100,000 to come in and build it for you. And, they do it professionally. The rest of us, we kind of got to do what you're doing, You got the software, you got the equipment, so that takes most of the guesswork out. There's still a little bit of guesswork, but, yeah, it sounds like you're definitely going the right direction.
Yep, absolutely. Well, it's just like radio, developing a radio that sounds like yours or mine versus a stock CB radio or your typical peak and tweak and clip limiter and whatever else they do. Takes a lot of work to get there, and we basically are mimicking what they do in the commercial broadcast world. The stations spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 just on equipment to get where we are. To do what we're doing, to minimize overshoots and to keep the bandwidth and the balance and the psychoacoustics and the whole 9 yards. It's tricky, but it's fun. And to do it yourself, to get there, people go, oh, it's not the same as an Optimod. Or, well, yeah, it is. It's just doing it a different way. Or it's not the same as an Omnia 2020 or this or that or whatever else. Is it? Well, yeah, it is. It's just doing it a different way, but accomplishing the same task. And there's the same thing in the audio world, in the audio realm, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff, I tell you. A lot of fun, challenging. That's the key, I think. The fact that it's difficult and not easy, and not everybody does it for obvious reasons, it makes it that much more fun and that much more challenging. So, anyway, yeah, good stuff. I've always been an audio nut, from the early days of figuring out but figuring out the existence of high fidelity audio and good quality speakers and listening environments and all that stuff back in high school. And courtesy of Bill Layton, the physics teacher at Pali High way back when, there was a lot of input that stuck in my head that spiked the interest, that fueled that fire for the quest for bettering audio. Some people notice it, some people care, some people don't care, and I totally get it. Not everybody is wired to get off on that kind of stuff. So, anyway, fun stuff. That's for darn sure. Hey, Bobby Boucher, Motormouth Mall, your West Coast under-modulated beast, dropping a hammer, looking at you, break up.
Yeah, I know you're right, man. You're right. Not everybody's wired for it. I was sitting there laughing when you were saying that because I remember back as early as when I was 12 years old, man. That's when I started the quest for audio quality, man. I was taking stereos apart, speakers apart, building speakers. You know, I got to where I was designing my own speakers because I couldn't afford the speakers that I wanted, and you know, going to Radio Shack, buying mids and highs and woofers and crossovers and experimenting and trying all kinds of different things. And, you know, I mean, for what it was when I was a teenager, I mean, it was pretty good, but you know, I finally got older and could afford better stuff and started going that direction. But, yeah, like you said, you know, most people are happy to listen to music through their telephone speakers, you know, they're just their cell phone speakers or, you know, a little Bluetooth boombox sitting on the shelf. And for certain things, if you're working out in the garage, that's totally fine. But, you know, I'd really love to hear the detail and to get the... You know, when the vocalist sounds like they're standing right in front of you, like you're in the room and you can look around and pinpoint each instrument, you know. You can hear each musical aspect of the contribution of the music as a whole. So, yeah, it's gotten expensive over the years, man, no doubt about it. And it can be very, very expensive, man. There's guys out there, you know, with, you know, modest systems that are $5,000, some $30,000, some $100,000. I mean, there's systems that are well over $1 million just for 2-channel stereo. You know, it doesn't end. It goes as deep as your pockets can go.
It sure does. Hey, by the way, Fireball, are you still in there? And maybe even maybe 277 West Virginia knows the answer to this as well. But who is West Side Duck Killer? Somebody asked me via text who that was, and I'm not sure exactly who it is because they're on my side of the country and I don't get to talk to them or hear them. But maybe Fireball knows who West Side Duck Killer is. I don't know. Anyway, I'll see that typed in there, and maybe we'll see. And then I can tell this person who it is, since I don't know. Hey, yeah, it's the pockets are the limit, you know. You can, oh my gosh, then you get down the realm of tube audio and all that kind of stuff, and I think that's where I'm headed next. You know, I used to have a pair of Dynaco Stereo 70s way back in the day, and unfortunately I didn't appreciate exactly what I had, and I got rid of them. Well, now I want them back. I want them back, damn it. And, of course, then you see the Macintoshes and all that kind of stuff. So it's either that or I'm going to build my own. And I may end up, you know, the trick is getting really, really, really good quality transformers. You know, the tubes and the sockets and the parts and the blah, 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 not anything big deal. But the transformers... Big deal. So anyway, I really want to go that route before long, and I think I'm going to start collecting parts, and I want to build, you know, something pretty decent, you know. So we'll see where it goes. But right now, I do have some tube amps. I'm not 100% happy with them. They've got. They need to be recapped, obviously. There's some buzzing, power supply issues. Well, good. I hope he's giving Hard Drive a hard time. I can hear little buzzes and hums and things that just make them not as pleasing as I would like. I want to experience the warmth and the tubey sound without the artifacts of the power supplies and all that stuff. So anyway, they're Heathkit. What are they called? Something A-9s, 9-A's. A-9s, I think. Something like that. Got one down here on the floor. I got like 5 of them. Oh, I can't see it from here. Anyway, 4 of them work. One is for parts, but I'm just not 100% happy with them. And they're little 25 or 22 watt mono block kind of things. But anyway, I love solid state for the bottom end, but I want to play a little bit more with tube audio on the top end, and especially now that I've got, zero crossovers, no crossover distortion, great imaging, and all that stuff. I think now is the time to dive into the tubes. Oh, I got to unkey.
Yeah, tubes are great, man. Really good for the mids and the highs. But, anything that you can get a hold of Macintosh, it's going to be a win. I mean, they've been doing this stuff. When did Macintosh start coming out? Was it back in the 50s or 40s or something? I don't remember, man. They've been around for a long time. But PS Audio is another brand that's actually really good. I've never actually heard any of their electronics in person. I watched a lot of videos, a lot of reviewers and everything. What they do is they're higher end amplifiers. They're lower affordable amplifiers. They're all transistors, but the high end stuff, they use tubes to drive transistors. So it's kind of a hybrid kind of amplifier, and it does this supposedly magical thing to the audio, but it's not real cheap either. I think their monoblock amplifiers are, in the world of audiophile, pretty affordable. I think they're like $13,000 or $14,000 per, each mono amplifier. You need a pair, but there's a lot of stuff out there though, man, these days.
Oh yeah, and obviously you get a linear, super good solid state amplifier, and if it's perfectly linear and good and clean and clear and all that stuff, and you want to experience the tube, nothing says you have to drive the drivers, the speaker itself, with a tube amplifier, a transformer. But what's the key is the magic that the tubes create with the soft clipping and the even harmonic distortion and the nature of the tubes themselves, and of course how you drive them and how you bias them and how then their individual characteristic sounds. So you could do the tube portion of it, I suppose, if you had good linear, clean, non-coloring linear type solid state amplifiers. You could do the tube portion all at the preamp level and still experience the wonders of the tubes, I believe. And since tubes are distortion, and the warmth and the beautiful sound that comes from a tube is distortion, you can't say that it wouldn't be right if you used the preamp into another amplifier because it'll be distorted. Well, it won't be distorted, but the problem is, even if it was distorted, who's to say it wouldn't be the kind of distortion that was pleasant? So, we're not talking about clipping or driving a solid-state amplifier into distortion. We're talking about the acoustical result of a sinusoidal wave going through the amplifier and the THD and everything else involved. So I believe that it could all be achieved and enjoyed all at the preamp level and then dumped into a solid state amplifier.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do that, and for that exact reason, everything you just said. And another thing that people do, and you can still buy speakers these days that are by wired. You can bi-amplify your stereo, your whole system. You can run the tube amplifier directly into the mids and the highs, and your solid state directly into the woofer, all the lows. A lot of people are doing that. I mean, that's been around for a long time, and I know you know about that, of course. I think these days people are kind of getting away from that, though. Like when you start looking at higher-end systems and everything, people are kind of going one direction. I mean, you look at the speakers that are out there. There's a lot of high-end speakers, of course. I mean, you could spend $500,000 on a pair of speakers. So, Wilsons are a good example of that. BMW, I mean, they make some pretty high-end stuff, and they make some, I wouldn't say affordable stuff, but reachable for most people or some people. But, I think most of them are gotten away from the bi-amping, but there's still a lot of diehards out there.
410. Well, yeah, that's true, absolutely. And you know, I've got several pairs of clipped speakers. Unfortunately, none of them are clipped horns, but I haven't got a room suitable for clipped horns here anyway, so I guess it's no big deal. But there are two things I wanted in high school. Two things I wanted. And I haven't got either one. Not that I can't afford them, but just I guess I grew out of them to a degree. But clipped horns, I guess what I'd really like would be a room big enough to put them in. But some clipped horns, and also, of course, whether it be original or not, but a 427 SC Cobra. I was real close to getting one the other day. Real close. Just not even a week ago, I almost bought a 427 SC Cobra replica. Factory 5, but anyway, I didn't. But yeah, you know, I've got, how many pairs of little clip speakers I have, and one of them is already wired, you know, from the factory for bi-amping, you know. They're paralleled with some short jumpers after, you know, outside, external, but they got binding posts for both the mids and the bass, and of course you can run that to whatever kind of amplifiers you want. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for tubes. As a matter of fact, I'm running tube emulation right now. It's done solid state right now, but you know, I'm running the 4 diodes right now on my audio here. And it makes all the difference in the world. You know, it's just, it's soft. It's not to the point where anything looks, you can't even tell it's flat topping or getting close to flat topped. It's just a soft clipping that's occurring, you know, at the end of my chain prior to superimposing the audio directly onto the carrier. So I like the effect. I think it sounds awesome. And you know, it's just tubes are just a wonderful a tool, you know, another way of getting another sound. And of course, after 3 weeks or a month or maybe 4 or 5 months of listening to it, ears may say, well, gee, okay, I'm done with that. Now I want the next thing. And the next thing might be something totally different. You never know. That's the funny thing about audio. Always subject to change. Your perception of it is subject to change.
Yeah, that's 100% true, man. You know, just as a quick example, my idea of what I thought sounded good on radio, you know, like 11 meters, what we're doing with processed audio, you know, my idea of what I thought sounded good a year ago is definitely different now, today. You know, so it's evolving. It just keeps changing. But, you know, back to the Factory 5, man, Factory 5, they make some of the best replicas. I mean, they're a top-notch company. They're good. But back on the processing, man, you know, as far as like tube emulation, I love tubes. I mean, they sound amazing. I mean, they just got that buttery, you know, it reminds me of how music sounded back in the 70s and back in the 80s. You know, all that analog warmth. It's got that sound. And the saturation that I use is a tube emulated algorithm. You know, so I'm using a clean tube algorithm for my saturation because I like that. I like the fatness and the presence. You know, the crispiness. You get that harmonic distortion in the presence region, and that's what my ears like.
Yep. Same here. I love that sound. That warm tube sound is awesome. I remember my first actual introduction to that sound was in high school. Bill Layton, the physics teacher at Pali High, had in the classroom. There were 2 classrooms that were separated in the middle by a small room. That was the teacher's conference room or whatever the hell that was. But anyway, up in a rack up in the corner of that room were all the tube amplifiers. They were Altic, the green Altic, I think 807s maybe, the green Altic push-pull tube amplifiers, and then the electronic crossover, all Altic, and then that fed out into the classroom, fed a pair of 15-inch rear-loaded horns that Bill Layton made, and an 18-inch rear-loaded horn that he made, and then also a pair of, and I still have a pair of these JBL D208 8-inch mid-ranges that were just incredible full-range 8-inch mid-range drivers that JBL made way back in the 70s. And he designed and built, and I've also since built and played with a pair of them, a pair of compression cabinets that had a front horn for the D208s, and their frequency response was something on the order of 250 to 5K. And really, really nice because it put all the mid-range right there, and they were just really efficient. And then an array of electrostatic tweeters on either side. And that's what was in the classroom. And every nutrition or lunchtime, he'd pick an album, whether it be Saint Saëns Symphony No. 3 or Creedence Clearwater Revival or 10 Years After or Herbie Hancock's Crossings or something. And he'd put something on, and he would just he'd crank it up, and we would just sit there and listen. And it was like we're in some other world, and the sound was just so incredible. And this was a non-treated classroom. You know, obviously not the best environment, but for that kind of music and back in that day and that sound and the whole bit, you know, you didn't hear any. There were no problems. There was nothing strange going on that you could pinpoint was wrong. Obviously, it wasn't the best environment in the world. But that was my first introduction, and then I thought, oh man, I'm going to do this hi-fi stuff, and so I did. I was building speakers and all that, but all my amplifiers were solid state. And no matter what I did, there was nothing I could do to approach that sound. And I thought it was watts, 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 and of course it wasn't watts, watts, watts. I mean, look at the amplifiers he had. None of them were capable of much power, but the liveness and the fullness and the richness and the reality, the sound of real music was so unlike anything compared to a solid state amplifier, you know, that I could put my fingers on. I even went into, you know, I'd go in there almost every day after school. I'd take a trip over to Henry Radio, and I'd sit in their listening room, and I'd crank up the Klipschorns or B&Ws or as something else, and I would listen, and I would be looking for this quality, this particular sound that I couldn't get except for in that classroom. And that was the only place I knew of where I could find tube amplifiers, aside from friends with guitars and basses and all that kind of thing, you know. So yeah, it's just pretty cool stuff. Hey, James, you're also saying there's a great sounding stations coming out of the west side, looking out there in Mississippi, South Mississippi. Good to see you up in there, and definitely appreciate that there. 277 Motormouth Mall waving, and yeah, I like that description there. That's it, a rustic roughness. that describes it well. Bobby Boucher, Motormouth Mall, cruising.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I was thinking back when you were talking about that. I had a similar situation. My music teacher, you know, when I was in 6th grade, I was 12 years old. He had, you know, in the room, our music room was actually somewhat treated, you know, because of the band. I mean, you had the band. And so it was somewhat treated, not like it would be today in certain situations. But he had these speakers, and they were I don't even know what they were. I don't know what kind, but they were big, they were huge, and they were, I think, like 4-way speakers. It was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. And he would play certain concerts, and I remember sitting there just thinking, it sounds like I'm sitting in front of an actual orchestra. I mean, that's what captured me. That's what started my insanity for sound. But it's funny how that stuff sticks with you, man.
Did they have blue faces with angled plate ribbon diffusers in front of the tweeters and all that? Were they like big JBLs?
No, I know what you're talking about. No, it wasn't those. I don't know what they were actually. You know, they had the black face, and there were 4 speakers. They were definitely 4-way speakers, and I remember thinking that seems excessive, but you know, the presence and musicality that I was hearing was unlike anything I'd ever heard. You know, I was young, you know, so I mean, I don't know if I went back in time and listened now, I'd probably hear issues or whatever, but to me, I mean, that started me on this quest for audio. It started the whole audiophile thing in my brain. But yeah, I don't know what they were. They had black faces. They didn't have the grills on them, so you could actually see the drivers. but I don't know. I know the woofers were 15-inch. I do remember that. So they were good size, and I don't know what he was pushing them with. I couldn't tell you. You know, and I listened to that system from 6th grade all the way up through 10th grade. You know, being in band, we'd have to sit there and listen sometimes. And so yeah, it was pretty great.
No, that's too cool. Yeah, I remember we got together, and it was Bill Layton's birthday, and a bunch of us got together, and this was back in '83. CDs had just come out, the Phase Linear. We bought him a brand spanking new Phase Linear CD player and a handful of CDs to get him started in the world of CDs, and because of course everything he had was on vinyl. And but anyway, we did that for him. But yeah, my most memorable things in the whole in my audio, both radio and hi-fi, were everything from the high school thing to the CB radio and getting involved in AM CB radio, and of course stumbling across Malibu Chuck in the Malibu Hills up in Saddle Peak, and the audio he had, the signal he had, he was a broadcast engineer, and he had already, you know, he'd been dabbling in this hi-fi CB stuff for quite a while, and I'd never heard anything like it, and I couldn't help but to hear him because he was up in the Malibu Hills, and I was up in the Santa Monica Mountains, so, you know, he was all over the place in my radio, and sounded so good. And then of course the whole advent of PC processing, which was introduced to me by Prime up there in Washington. So I those are the big focal points of my audio, so the hi-fi, getting into the CB and realizing there was much more than just that nose-pinch typical CB radio sound to then audio processing done using, you know, at the time with Prime was Pro Tools. And then I left the Pro Tools platform, of course, and went to Live Professor, but it's the same thing, you know, as far as Reapers and Pro Tools and Live Professor and Audacity, whatever other method you want to, you know, Personas or whatever that you want to go through to get where you go. But yeah, that was the three major steps in my whole audio thing, and then now applying it in CB radio and hearing other people applying it in CB radio is just fueling that whole thing, and it keeps it going.
Yeah, and again, I have a similar story. I met this guy about 9 years ago, and he had audio coming over the radio that I'd never heard before. I didn't even know was even out there, even possible. And I was just like, holy crap, what is that? And so I started talking to him and everything, and I decided to go down a different road because I didn't think having a computer in the truck would be feasible, and a studio mic in the truck, and I thought, nah. So I went down the W2 IHY route for several years, and then about 5.5 years ago, I was sitting over at the yard, and I gave that guy I was talking about just now a call, and he told me, yeah, just go for it, man. Here's what you need. And I think he goes by Motormouth Mall. You might know him there, 10-4.
10-4, that handle does ring a bell there, Break. Yeah, that's... And you haven't looked back since, man. You've been just blowing smoke with superb audio, session file after session file, and all of the research you've done, all the reading you've done, all of this stuff, and the application of what you've learned. I haven't seen anyone do a better job. That's for doggone sure. So, you know, a lot of good high-fidelity stations out there, and like, you know, I've said before, a lot of times, a lot of ways to skin a cat. There's no right or wrong way, as long as the end result is right. How you get there doesn't matter too much. But I sure like your finished product there, Break.
Yeah, 10-4, I appreciate it. Yeah, you know, I mean, for me, I gotta go with the PC stuff. I mean, there's no room for any kind of analog gear or any type of experimentation that way. So I just focus, you know, pretty much on the processing. But you're right, man. It's a means to an end. Whether it doesn't matter what DAW you're using, they're all going to do basically the same thing. They'll do it differently in some cases, different features, different whatever, but at the end of the day, they're there as a host for the processing, and some people are running hybrid setup like you're doing, some people are strictly analog, and that's a great sound as well. I got, in the situation I'm in, it's strictly PC. It's all software-based processing. And I like I was saying earlier, my saturation plug-in, it's a tube-emulated algorithm, so I try to fake a little bit of analog warmth with it, but, and it's all good. And there, like you said, man, there's a lot of really good stations out there, man. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and I never got his handle. I heard him key up, and I barely got back to him. And I still don't know where he was or what his handle was, but he had some really good sounding audio. Definitely knew what he was doing for sure. He mentioned that I had clean audio, but that, Mother Nature was dropping in and out, and I know he was trying to ask me what I was doing, and he disappeared. So, Mother Nature, what she does, but... and then all the typical hitters out there, you got Sparkplug down on the pile, you got Danielson, you got, I know I'm leaving a ton of people out. I mean, there's a good couple dozen that stand out. There's a lot more than that doing it, but, everybody's kind of on their own little journey and doing their thing, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Hey, that may very well have been 277 in West Virginia. Very, very possible. He's over here on YouTube right now, and he says, that was me, I think. Does that ring a bell? 277 possibly in West Virginia? And, yeah, there's a lot of wideband stations now. Yeah, that's Bobby Boucher.
Yeah, actually, I think it was 277. I did talk to 277, I think. And I think that was him that I was talking to. Yeah, actually, I believe it was. What a trip. What are the odds he's sitting there watching the gate right now? How you doing, 277?
That's a trip and a half. Yep. He's up there. He's on YouTube right now, speeding 108. He's laughing. Yeah, very cool stuff. I'll tell you what, I think if CB radio did not have the aspect of wideband audio, and every time we say this, every time we talk about wideband audio, the people who don't really know, who think they know, or who are just getting started, they get wrapped up in the high frequencies and how wide do you go, No. Our width is, already predetermined by our channel width, 5 kilohertz on either side, that's our width. That's where we want to stick around. But the ability to create the control and contour and content in the bass region is definitely, he said he talked to you and Danielson both in the same day with amazing audio. It's that low frequency, it's the grunt, it's the clarity and the grunt and the presence of the bottom end below about 250 hertz down to about 50 or 80 hertz. That's the magic part. No, it's not easy to do the highs in the mid-range either, but as far as the processing is concerned and the psychoacoustics and all that kind of stuff is concerned, but it's all that grunt, all that bottom end. And if none of that existed, I don't think I'd have any real interest in CB radio anymore.
Yeah, you're right. That is the hardest part. Everything below 250 hertz is absolutely the trickiest part. Like you said, I mean, the mids, I do a lot of work and I've done a lot of research in the mid-range area, the presence area, the high mids. But for the most part, I mean, you could literally just leave the mids alone and they'll live next to the low end and the high end just fine, the highs. But, it's that low end, man. If you don't have enough, it sounds thin, and if you get too much in there, it sounds garbly. And it's not just the right amount either, it's the right type, getting the lows to where they sound articulated, and like the bass is clear, clear bass. That's always a goal, man. And still learning, of course. I'm always working on it. I burn out on it and give it a week or two off. Sometimes 3 weeks off, and then I'll be at it every chance I get for a while, and then just kind of it gives my brain a break, and I'll get an idea and I'll go back after it again. But yeah, that's definitely the most challenging part. Is it, like you were saying, everything below 250 hertz, man. That will affect everything.
Oh, yeah, and like you say, it's not just the amount of it, it's the type. Because, it's just like a subwoofer, or a woofer. You start talking about low end, bottom end, that kind of thing. You start talking about whether it's musical bottom end, where it has a tone and an actual sinusoidal waveform that sounds good, or is it just a boom, 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 boom? Everything sounds the same, but there's like a thumping bass, rhythmic thumping bass that goes along with the music, and it's like, oh, there's a difference. Well, if you've got bottom end that is clean and clear and crisp and musical and has the right attack and decay and reverb and the whole 9 yards to make it sound right, it's the type, not the amount. That's exactly right. And then, of course, you got to have the right amount of high end. Within the range of our high end, you got to have enough high end to get in there and let the bass swell and grow and have the articulation in the top end to feed the bottom end. You'll actually, you've noticed where you've had bass in there and you didn't touch the bass, but you added some highs and the apparent bass came up. And it's like, wow, I didn't add any bass, but I've added more highs, and now I've gotten this more full bass range sound because of the harmonics and complementary things that happen along the way. So, yeah, it's a delicate balance and all that, and way cool. And you know what I've noticed also with my radio, and of course using the SDR, and before that the Drake and all that, is I found that there are a lot of stations that do have some pretty good low energy content, whether they've tried to or not or whatever. And oftentimes through a pileup, I'll hear that. That's where my articulation gets pulled from, is from the bottom end, not always the highs, even though all the hams say, oh, it's all the mid-range and highs where you get all the articulation. That's going to cut to a pileup. Well, when everybody else is doing the same thing, it's not the more highs that's going to cut to a pileup. It's who's got something that somebody else doesn't have that you can hear that's going to cut through that pileup. and the low frequencies that modulate the other people's carriers and all that stuff real well and get in there and cause some cool things to happen in the receivers. So there's a lot of stuff that makes it really, really, really desirable. And by the way, Bobby Boucher 149RR is waving at you there, Break. And hello, RR, Motor Mouth Mall, got down.
Yeah, 10-4. Well, 149RR. Good to, I can't hear you in there, but appreciate the wave. I'm waving back. And, you're right. I mean, when you're doing, everything affects everything. And it all has to do with masking and unmasking, The phase shift within an equalizer is always present, and sometimes you boost the lows a little bit and you end up crisping up and sharpening up the highs. So everything works together in some weird way. But yeah, finding that right balance, I mean, that's generally what I chase. I don't chase bass. I chase tone and try to get, just a full range kind of sound. Because, I like on your SDR right now, you're hearing all the lows and all the highs that I'm putting out. It's not going to be what it sounds like in somebody's receiver. I got to push more low end, or not too much. I mean, you can't push too much lows. We've talked about this. I mean, you know what I'm saying. And we've discussed this to no end. Too many lows, it all just turns to garble in a lot of receivers. But you do have to have enough in there. And then, as far as the highs, I always go, like, my highs are probably borderline or pretty trident, as far as the SDR is concerned. The S's, they generally are pretty piercing on the SDR, but that's okay because a standard radio is going to roll all of that down, quite a bit. And that's who I target, that's the goal, is to get it to sound good in a standard receiver, because there are some people out there with wideband receive, and that's cool. but it doesn't go both ways. If you sound really good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just tried something here. I don't know if it's going to work with the Hill of Beans, because I believe I might have messed up the levels. But give me some more audio real fast. And people on YouTube, let me know if you can still hear Bobby Boucher, because I just switched my signal that's feeding YouTube over to the stock 148 GTL. So I just want to see if that's going to work or not. It's been a while since I did this, and I have no idea if it's working or not. Son of a gun. Never mind. I guess something went wrong. I did something wrong, and there's no audio on you present at all on the,
Why? RF game's all the way up.
I have no idea what I did anyway. I was going to try to put you on the YouTube feed like I did that before. I didn't unwire anything. I didn't change anything, but apparently whatever I did, your audio wasn't showing up on my audio was there. But your audio wasn't there. I don't know what I changed. Yeah. All right. Well, we're back to the normal way, I guess, using the SDR for the receiver.
Okay, so you were trying to get my audio on YouTube coming through the GTL?
Yeah, 10-4. That's what I was trying to do. What was that? There's somebody out there in the DX was saying something about YouTube to break?
701 in the Bayou, I'm trying to get on your YouTube. 701 in the Bayou, I'm trying to get on your YouTube. 701 with the double wave from the Bayou country is going on.
And there's 701, and yeah, Bill, I think that's whatever I did, I messed up whatever I had a couple weeks ago. I thought I had it working pretty good, and I did something to it, and now it's all messed up. So, you know what I did? Hold on, I think I know. Let me give this one more try. Hey, 701, you made it over here on YouTube, by the way. Sounded real good. Let me just try something here. I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to try something again. I might have had something punched up wrong on the console. Let me try this. There we go. Now we have audio. All right. So I believe now the YouTube is being fed from the 148 GTL and instead of the SDR. So you'll hear what that sounds like.
Okay. So now are you coming through the GTL as well, or is it just me? And another question, is there any way to get my audio coming through the Drake to come out on YouTube as well?
No, on the Drake, and yeah, you and I are both coming off the GTL, and if somebody on YouTube can confirm that they're hearing us both, the levels are relatively decent, let me know. I don't have any way to listen to the YouTube feed right now, and I suppose I could turn the phone on and all that, but anyway, I hope this is working. The Drake, no, that one, too much to do to get that one involved. But you and I are both coming through the GTL right now, the break.
Yeah, 10-4. Well, get ready for the comments. Everybody's going to get pissed off, probably saying, go back to the SDR, it sounds better, the typical. Of course the SDR sounds better. I mean, it's full bandwidth of what we're transmitting. But yeah, that'd be interesting to hear what it sounds like coming through the GTL. For me personally, I mean, that's very helpful.
There's a hum, a little bit of a hum. Yeah, I'm not going to try to troubleshoot that right now. But there's a hum on the GTL. And 701, can you hear Bobby Boucher? Yeah, 701 over there, if you're still there and around the Bayou, 701, did you hear Bobby Boucher or just me?
I can hear you Motor Mile 318 over here in the mag, I can hear you.
318 in the mag. Can you hear Bobby Boucher in his big truck?
Negative, that fool.
It's
1-4. Okay, yeah, I'm talking to Bobby Boucher. He's over here in Santa Maria, about 7 or 8 miles, 6 miles, 8 miles. I guess it's probably 8 miles, line of sight, 7 or 8 miles from where I am right now.
Roger, yeah, Roger. Both of you, I've been listening to you two guys talking TikTok for a while, and you sound good out there. Both of you sound excellent.
410, I appreciate it. So you can hear Bobby Boucher. Okay, that's who I'm talking to. And the hum is only on my signal. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Bill. Yeah, I'll have to look into that some other time. But I guess in the meantime, the actual reason for doing this was so that Bobby Boucher can hear what his audio sounds like on a stock 148 instead of my SDR.
So but y'all carry on. I just heard you out there. I want to holler at you, speak on you, and get on out your way. Carry on. 318 over here around the mag. I'm on the side.
And 318, have a good day, good evening time to you, by the way, over there around the mag. And by the way, real fast, let me, I got a quick playback for you. I want to make sure this works too, since I got all this stuff all kind of refinagled around here. Hey, 318 in the mag, watch this.
So y'all carry on. I just heard you out there. I want to holler at you, speak on you, and get on out your way. Carry on. 318 over here around the mag. I'm on the side.
And there you go, 318 in the mag, Motor Mouth Mall, cruising. I got down, breaker.
So Roger, Motor Mouth Mall, and I'm down.
10, me and this 125 birds waving 4 friendly fingers and a thumb your way. I got down, break. Hi, Bobby. Well, that all happened about the hour and 35-minute mark. So I'm not going to leave it like this for too long. If you want to get some more audio on there, I'll go ahead and leave it for a little bit, and then I'll put it back to the SDR.
I think we got enough. That's all I just needed a little snippet so I can get an idea. But yeah, you can go back to the SDR. But no, man, I'm pointed directly south, so most of my signal's going out probably the west coast of Baja California.
Roger, on looking out over toward Baja California for the most part. Roger, okay, I got the audio switched back over now to the SDR, so that's working again. So I guess I do have to go revisit the hum issue. I'm not sure. I don't think the hum is over the air. You don't hear a hum on my signal when I'm not talking to you. There's no background obnoxious buzz, 60 cycles or 120 cycles or something like that in the background, is there?
No, I got a 5-inch full-range speaker in here, and it's a good speaker, man. It's a Wilson, and I just cranked it up to where it was louder than I'd ever want to listen to, man. It was dead silent on this end, so whatever that hum or buzz or whatever it is, it's definitely just going through YouTube, so it's definitely not real, or at least it's not actual out here on the air.
Roger, but it is on my audio and not your audio, so I'll have to look into that and see what's going on with that whole thing. There's something goofy going on. Sometimes just the local proximity of a receiver. I'm sure you've probably heard this in the past, where you could have a radio on a battery with no antenna, key up a radio station that's perfectly clean and clear, and hear a hum on the receiver. It has to do with phase angles and weird things that you don't have total control over, especially in a strong RF environment. And I believe that's what happens to my 148 and even my local stuff here to a degree. I've caught it several times. A little bit less on the Drake, but more on the 148. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening is the proximity of the signal and all that's causing that weird, nasty hum or buzz. Anyway, when I first heard it, I thought, it's because the radio's on a power supply. There must be a hum on the power supply. I checked the power supply with a voltmeter, and there was zero AC ripple whatsoever. I thought, it's still a power supply. So I thought, I'll put it on a battery, and it'll all be perfect. How can you get better than a battery? And I put it on a battery, and the damn hum was still there. I was like, what? How do you get 60 cycles from a clean carrier on the radio on a battery. And it's one of those weird things that happens.
Yeah, that is weird. I mean, the RF does all kinds of strange things, man. I mean, I had, when I first started out doing this, I was listening to a Cobra 29 for my receive radio, and that's what I was using to set up, and I just could not get it, man. I mean, I was just way too close to my transmitting radio. You can imagine inside this truck, there's, a couple feet distance, and it was too much. I mean, I even put the receive radio on a dummy load, and did all kinds of experimentation, man. I couldn't figure it out. I mean, the audio sounded terrible. And so I ended up just going straight, just listening to my audio. I monitor and set up directly out of my interface. That way I'm hearing it exactly as it is in Reaper and how it's going out. I can't hear it in RF form, only in analog. But that's as good as it's going to get from me in this truck. But I'm already used to it, man. It's already been a couple years, and I'm so used to it now. If I start trying to do it any different, that'll probably just screw me up. But yeah, go ahead and keep talking. I got to step away for a minute. I'll still be here listening, but I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Well, I'll take a 10-shot up for a little bit and see who else out there is chiming in and taking a look out here around our neck of the woods while I'm looking out over the Pacific Ocean and you're looking down south in the big truck, and we'll see who else wants to chime in and say hello. So I'll stand back on the side for a little bit. Actually, I'll be away from the microphone for about a minute, and then I'll be back. Motormouth Mall, but they got the volume turned up. Motormouth Mall stepping.
Hey, Motormouth Mall, you talking to your neighbor? Hello, Motormouth Mall, 2105. 2105 in the hall, y'all want to know if you talking to your neighbor.
Yeah, 10-4-82105. Yeah, I'm talking to my neighbor, Bobby Boucher. Rolled into town in his big rig, so he's over there in a big truck and parked over there about 7 or 8 miles to the northwest of me. So yeah, I'm talking to him. I got the antenna pointed over toward him and turned off the big box. Figured I'd just get out here in incognito mode there, break.
Somebody on the west side, give me a radio check. Can somebody out there on the west side give 0701 a radio check? 1 in the bayou standing by.
Yeah, 10-4, well, 2105, good to hear you up in there. And 701, you're looking for a radio check. Hey, 701, I believe I can satisfy that desire right here, right now. Check this out.
10-4-10, Motormouth. Somebody on the west side, give me a radio check. Can somebody out there on the west side give 0701 a radio check? 1 in the bayou standing by.
There you go, 701, that's you. 2105, you're up in there too. Matter of fact, 2105, I believe you're over here. Check this out. Hey, stop. I gotta believe you're in here right there.
Hey, Motormouth Mall, you talking to your neighbor? Hello, Motormouth Mall, 2105. 2105 in the hall, y'all want to know if you talking to your neighbor.
There you go, and that's what I heard. You're both smoking up in here on the central coast of California. Give me about 60 seconds and I shall return. Your West Coast beast got down. I'll be back.
Got it on, Motormouth Mall. Sounding good. Appreciate that, man. Always glad to hear this old 10-9 ground plane. Motormouth Mall, 2105. Got down. You know you're a junior.
How about it there, 2105, 82105, Bobby Boucher. Bobby Boucher down here around Santa Maria, California, trying break.
Hello, Redback, that station speaking to 2105. Is that you, Bobby Boucher? Hey, Bobby Boucher, is that you speaking to 2105?
Yeah, 10-4-2105. Yep, I'm looking south right now, so my signal's not real strong off the side of this truck. But I just wanted to see if I can keep getting you received just one time. 2105, you're blowing smoke out here on the west side, no doubt about it.
Okay, Bobby. Look, man, like I said, that ain't the first time I heard you and your neighbor talking, man. I think you recorded it once on the video. Boy, y'all got some good on this station. You got that smooth stereo sound.
got pretty rough and tough on that go around there, 2105. I heard you in there, but man, there was some others, some other big stations up in there with you, man. But appreciate the bump down. You have a good rest of your evening. Bobby Boucher, West Side. I'm back out. I'll see you.
Yeah, Bobby Boucher, I want to try something. I got to get a fresh piece of tape here. All right, here we go. I want to try some. Hey, Bobby Boucher, I took a piece of tape off my microphone, and I'm not going to change how I'm talking. I'm not going to change the distance my voice is from the microphone, but I'm going to take this piece of tape right here, and I'm going to just easily kind of sort of wrap it right around the... hang on a second. Let me start over again. I got all crooked. I'm going to wrap it around the RE20, just like that. Now, I didn't change anything. I'm still at the same distance and everything else on the microphone, but I wrapped a piece of blue tape around the side, the outer perimeter of the RE20 there, Break.
Yeah, it's interesting because now you're talking about those slots. You covered up those slots. I think that's what you're saying. Wow, what a difference, man. It actually took a ton of the low end out of the audio. So it's set up, obviously. I mean, the mic is all tuned, you know. I mean, the RE20, I mean, it's legendary mic. I mean, those things been around for so long. But yeah, man, they're known for their big bassy response, and that actually leaned it out quite a bit.
Is it better lean like this, or is it better the other way without it there, Break?
Oh, no, it's way better the other way. I mean, it sounds fine just like that, but it really did flatten the audio out a lot, and it still sounds just as clean and clear. It's like you took like a couple dB, like say if you were boosting a total of 5 dB in the lows somewhere, it's like you pulled it down to 1 dB or something. It took almost all the low end out, but not to a point to where it sounded thin and harsh or anything like that. It just sounded very flat. So, no, it's definitely better without the tape.
Roger, okay. Let me take the tape back off here. Unpeel this. There we go, no more tape. Tape is gone. I wonder if I could put different kind of tape. No, I'm just kidding. I'll leave the tape off the break.
Yeah, actually, it was more than the lows it pulled out. It pulled out some of the mid-range presence, too, which is weird. You know, the detail, the crispiness. Yeah, it overall flattened the audio out. But when you took that off, some of the highs came back up in there too, which you would think the tape would reflect some of those highs back into the cartridge a little better. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, it's definitely better without.
Roger. Okay, yeah, I'll leave it off. Yeah, I guess they knew what they were doing when they designed the RE20. They had a pretty good idea. Engineers probably knew kind of sort of where they wanted to go and what they wanted to end up with.
Yeah, man, how many decades has that mic been out? You know, no redesign, no, you know, don't fix it if it ain't broke kind of thing. Yeah. Now RE makes. I mean, they make. I know they make a couple of different other mics, and I've actually heard them online. I like the 20 the best. I think that's their flagship, though, isn't it?
10-4, yeah, they got the 20, the 27, and the 320 that are all pretty much in the same family, and I like the 20 the best to break. By the way, I just got a sound bite, a couple sound clips from U-Joint over there, and holy smokes, U-Joint, I didn't know he's over there on Nashville, Tennessee. I didn't know we were making that kind of trip around Nashville, Tennessee. Holy smokes. I didn't listen to all three of them, but yeah, Bobby Boucher on one of those clips, or was it just Motormouth Mall? Hello to you, U-Joint. If you got a grip, Motormouth Mall, step and break. Some both. Okay, I'll listen to the clips. I'll listen to them, ain't no doubt about that. I won't do it now while I'm talking on the radio, but I'll give a listen to both of them, and I'll see if I can figure out how to forward. I'm not sure how to forward one of them. forward one of these to Bobby Boucher. Maybe you have his contact information and you can send it to Bobby Boucher as well, the break. He's working right now and can't send more, but I'll tell you what, that was kind of cool. I had no idea we were making it over there on Nashville, Tennessee, either.
Hello to you there, Motormouth Mall, Dirty White Boy, South Mississippi Trine.
Dirty White Boy. Hey, Dirty White Boy, South Mississippi. I got you up in there. I'm looking northwest. I'm looking literally to the northwest. You're on the back of my beam, and I hear you. Hello to you, Dirty White Boy, radio station Motormouth Mall waving.
Hey, Motormouth Mall, I hear you and Bobby Boucher, man. Y'all sounding 10-8 down here in this Magnolia State. Now, leave that tape off that microphone. It sure sounds good down here.
10-14, you still leave that tape off that microphone. It sure sounds good, and you can hear us both over there in the Magnolia. Hey, appreciate that, Motormouth Mall waving and stepping, and hope you're having a real good day. Dirty White Boy, Motormouth Mall, your West Coast beast. Got down. Hey, Bobby Boucher, you hear Dirty White Boy?
Oh, yeah, man. He's blowing smoke over here, too. Yeah, I'm surprised I'm getting out east. You know, I'm looking west, man. Mother Nature must be doing some weird reflecting off the side of my truck kind of thing, or out the back or something. But, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, if he sends it to you in a text, I think you can just do the share thing in another text.
10-4, yeah, let's check. It's a M4A, but we'll figure it out. I can download it or something, and then I'll send it to you. Or I'll just, I'll figure it out. Motormouth Mall stepping right there, right now. You have a great evening, too, out there, you joint. We'll be looking forward to hearing you on the band after you get some stuff fixed up over there and your coax is connected by alligator clips. Holy cow, he's got these great video or audio recordings, and his coax is hooked to his radio with alligator clips.
That's freaking amazing. I mean, that's ingenuity. You gotta do what works there, 10-4.
Well, I gotta see a picture of it right there. Your clip leads. 12-inch long clip leads. I love it. I love it. Your joint, Motormouth Mall waving.
Yeah, U-Joint, you know, I talked to him on 19 a whole bunch of times last year. I haven't heard him, I don't think, maybe this year. Maybe possibly earlier this year, I don't know. But he's over there around Nashville, right? Somewhere just outside of Music City?
Yep, exactly.
277, West Virginia's waving.
277 West Virginia, I got you up in there. 277 West Virginia. If you got a grip, Motormouth Mall, here's you.
Hey now, 10X Northeast Indiana, skip.
Did hear him. I heard at 277. I did hear you momentarily. It was a quick little short burst, but I heard you.
Yeah, I got you in there. It's just not favorable conditions, but of course, I think you said you're facing northwest, and that means the backside of your beam there.
10-4. I'm definitely on the backside of the beam. If I turn the beam around, I can look at it. Let me see. I'll remember where it is there. I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick little spin over here and see if I can't roll this thing up around your neck of the woods one time. And we'll hit this in the run mode and swing this house around real quick like. It doesn't take 2 minutes to swing this house around anymore either. I can do it real fast. Radio station Motormouth Mall. Go ahead there, 277 if you got a grip.
Now than I had there
sure, Motor Mouth Mall. Well, the audio wasn't quite as loud as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to pick up a whole... Oops, I went too far. I thought it was going to pick up a whole lot, but it didn't pick up nearly what I thought it was going to pick up. 277, Motor Mouth Mall, step and break.
Hey, Motor Mouth Mall, I don't know about 277. But you just stuck my needle in the corner. Oh, dirty white boy waiting one more time.
The dirty white boy, you said, lay your needle in the corner. I'm going to swing back around to Bobby Boucher real fast. Hey, 277. I don't know what happened. I guess Mother Nature's a little bit finicky right about now. And dirty white boy, you said, I laid your needle up in the corner over there, Motor Mouth Mall cruising. I'm looking back to the northwest now, the break.
Mother Nature sure doing her thing, no doubt about it. Sounds good down here, Mr. Motor Mouth Mall.
410. Take care, blessings and good graces. Dirty white boy. And I heard somebody else calling Motor Mouth Mall. Was that 277 again? You know what, 277, I think what's wrong is polarity. Are you, you're on the ground plane, right? And 10-4 in the vertical. Yeah, I think we have some cross-polarization stuff going on there. I'm pretty sure that's what was going on, but son of a gun, I did hear you on the back of the beam on the flat side, so that's pretty impressive. 277, Motor Mouth Mall waving, and appreciate the gate there as well. The U-joint, Motor Mouth Mall waving, right back, and I'm back on the side. Break.
Yeah, man, I heard 277 cruise up in here, too. He came in real strong for a minute. I don't think it was entirely the cross-polarization thing, because when you started rolling your beam towards him, he dropped out on my receive, too. So I think it may have been a combination of Mother Nature and all that jazz. You know how it goes, man.
10-4. Super quiet out there right now.
Yeah, it got pretty hopping there for a minute. I mean, there are all kinds of stations rolling up in there. That's hilarious, man. You turn your beam, and it makes me laugh. You know, a 125-watt carrier is putting somebody's needle in the corner halfway across the country. I mean, that's pretty impressive, man.
10-4. And James, that was you over there. Okay, dirty white boy, about 435 feet elevation over there. Wow, what a trip. Yeah, I was surprised when I first got out here this morning. The very first gate that I made and the first key that I was out here, I was barefoot. I driver and the big box off. I was barefoot, and I got out, and I was getting my name called, and I thought, holy smokes, that's a trip and a half. So you don't always need a whole lot of power. And, you know, it's kind of a trip when things work that way. Mother Nature just gets you, you know, all the way from one end of the country or one side of the country to the other. 5 watts can put somebody up in the corner. Depends on what kind of Mother Nature you got. So pretty cool stuff. Always love this hobby. Always will.
Yeah, and, you know, it's also a testament to the antenna system. I mean, that's really the big... You know, of course, without Mother Nature, I mean, a big antenna is not going to do any good, but, man, it does make a big, big difference. You know, just, our neighbor out there in Golden Valley, he's one of the closer neighbors. I think he's like 14 or 15 miles from our yard. And he had a 5/8 ground plane, and he decided he didn't want to do that anymore. He wanted to put a 108-inch whip on top of his house instead of the ground plane. And it's because he's older. He didn't want the maintenance of having to mess with anything. He wanted to stick something up there that he could just leave and let live forever and never have to worry about it. And so I understood that. But man, what a difference. I mean, he dropped out, I think it was 3 S units difference in signal strength. So yeah, it's big.
Roger, yeah. 277 said he had Motormouth Mall in the 10 dB range when I turned the antenna out that way for a short burst, and then conditions changed. And he can still hear us both, but not well enough to talk to. That was from 277 over there in West Virginia, Motormouth Mall, Cruisin' Breaker.
Yeah, it was pretty much like what I was saying. The second you started turning your beam around, he started dropping out of my receive. So I think Mother Nature vacated just as you were getting ready to drop a big old hammer out there.
Here's on YouTube, but not too good out there right now. I heard that 277.
My direction.
Oh, yeah.
Are you talking to somebody right now, John?
277 just keyed up and said, oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I heard that actually.
I sure love that audio. It's great to have good sounding stations out here.
Yeah, my ears always perk up when I hear that wideband sound, man. And like you said, it's the lows that gets my ears too. Like everybody's in the mid-range area, and nobody stands out if everybody's pretty much in the same frequency range. But you start hearing those lows roll up in there, and that definitely piques my interest. Yeah, I was going to ask you, have you talked to Jelly Belly lately? I was out there, I don't remember, last week or something, and I rolled a nickel to him. He was out there, and I forget who we were talking to, but have you heard him lately?
No, I haven't heard him in the last about week and a half or so. I know he's been doing a lot in the car world, and yeah, when you listen to like commercial broadcasts, you look into like a shortwave receiver, and you listen around or whatever, and you hear that voice come in there, KFWB News 98 or whatever, that big, deep, rolling sound. It's not the sizzling highs that bring your ears to a perk, It's that warm, that deep, that rumbling, heavy, thick, commanding, powerful bottom end. That's I like big bass, and I cannot lie. 277 says Jelly Belly's been booming in lately, so he's been on the radio. He's been doing his thing. He gets on his flat side, I get on my flat side, and even when we're on obviously the same channel, it's hard to hear him. But so he's been doing his thing.
Yeah, 10-4. Yep, I know. I haven't actually heard him because I don't get far enough away from you guys. I go out as far as Arizona and come back out here, but yeah, he was talking to somebody, and I keyed up and rolled him a nickel, and then he waved back, and so, yeah, and actually that happened a couple times. I don't remember when it was, week and a half, a couple weeks ago, something like that. But, yeah, I was just curious. It's good to hear him out there. And there's not too many other locals I hear coming out of Santa Maria anymore, as far as, people coming back from the east side. But, yeah, it's good. Good he's still in it.
Mike curiosity is I wonder how Copperhead is doing. I haven't heard Copperhead in forever. It's going on probably about 7 or 8 months since I've heard Copperhead on my radio, so I'm a little bit concerned. I got to give him a call and see how he's doing. MacGyver doesn't seem to have any interest in radio anymore. His modulator's, sitting there collecting dust. Smokin' Pete doesn't get on the air anymore. Grandpa Jones, rest in peace, he passed, and he was Old Faithful. He'd be out here all the time. You'd always find Grandpa Jones out here. It just seems like a whole slew of a few of our other locals that weren't really necessarily big skip talkers or anything like that they kind of went to the ham bands. I guess they found refuge over there on 75 meters and all that stuff. I don't know. It's not a whole lot's been going on over here in Santa Maria, radio-wise. Jelly Belly did get a new toy. I got to go over there and help him wire it up and get it all ready to go. He got himself a little 3000, so he's got a little oomph over there, but I don't think he's got it wired in yet. I got to go over there and help him out.
Yeah, 10-4. Well, he wasn't a slouch before, so yeah, that's going to be pretty devastating. And 000 too. He was another one. But yeah, it's a trip, man. There was a bunch of people out here. When I started rolling into town 9 years ago, I mean, it would be typical that I'd talk to 5 or 6 different guys out here every time I came out. And it's, the only people I talk to when I come out here now is you and Jelly Belly once in a blue moon. But it's kind of that way everywhere, man. It's the same way out there at our yard. Golden Valley used to be hopping. There was every Friday night, Saturday night, there'd be, 5, 6, 8 people on the radio. Some of them have passed away, unfortunately. But everybody kind of disbanded, But it is what it is.
Yep, 10-4, yeah. Pat Nighthawk, he has a modulator, but he doesn't get on the radio very much anymore, probably because most of the others aren't on the radio much. He did a lot of local talking. He did some skip talking, too, but yeah, it's all, 000 is one of the ones that took refuge over there on the 75-meter band. As a matter of fact, that's where Jelly Belly got the 3000. So, yeah, he's got that from him now. So, anyway, yeah. And Jelly Belly's never been a slouch. He's been, he's got those. He's got that station working really, really well. The modulator, the whole thing doing what it's supposed to be doing, and the 3 twigs and the Antron 99. He gets out there and drops a hammer, but when he puts that other thing in line, people are going to see a difference and hear a difference.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Now, that's all he's using is just an Antron 99? I thought he had a beam.
Yeah, the 3 twigs, the 3-element beam. He's got a little 3-element beam and the Antron 99. He switches back and forth between the two.
Okay, yeah, that's a good deal. That's pretty much how I'm thinking I'm going to do my setup when I get off the road. Just a 3-element beam, nothing crazy. Get a lot of winds out there, so I don't want to have to deal with it. And plus, it puts out a little wider pattern. But yeah, it's good. I hadn't talked to him in a while, but it's always good to hear him in there. His audio always sounds good. I hear him on Gates quite often, and so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's always good to get out here, man. It's not the same as it was, but it's still very cool. Get a chance to catch up with you and talk radio and everything. But yeah, it's kind of getting that time. I gotta start thinking about shutting everything down and getting some dinner and winding down for the night. We got to pick up a load of berries over there, Driscoll over there by Boney Pack in the morning, and so got to get up and go to work, do all that fun stuff, and hopefully we'll get back out here before it gets too late in the year, because right around Thanksgiving, that's pretty much it. So. But it is what it is, man. It's kind of a crapshoot.
Roger. Okay, sounds good. Well, good talking to you. And what was I going to say? I was going to mention something. Just second ago, and I just skipped my mind. Hold on. Doggone it, I had something on the tip of my tongue I was going to mention to you, and I forgot what it was. But, I hate when that happens. What did you say? Don't fart? Damn. Well, I had something I was going to say, and obviously it wasn't important.
Yeah, I never do that several times a day, every day.
Oh, well, shoot. It was something. It was something relevant, pertinent, and at the time I thought even possibly important. But now that I give it some more thought, I can't think of it.
You give it some more thought and can't think of it. That's hilarious, man. I hate when I do that. That's all right. It'll come to you. If it's important enough, you can hit me up later. But yeah, man, it's always good talking to you, Motormouth Mall. Mr. Motormouth Mall, the West Coast Beast. So yeah, we're gonna get off the air here and shut her down. But it's always good to hear you in there, John. We'll catch up with you. I don't know. I'll let you know next time we're gonna roll in.
That sure sounds good. Definitely a pleasure. And we'll do it again another time, another way. And drive safe out there. And what is it? 2 hours and 10 minutes on this gate. Of course, the first 20 minutes or so was on the bulb, but roughly an hour and 50 minutes or so of you and I just yapping and a few other people chiming in here and there, and pretty cool stuff. So anyway, all right. Catch you later, 73s, and you and CJ be safe, and we'll catch you later on. Enjoy dinner, and I'm going to shut this thing off, I think, and I'm going to go back and go listen to some music.
Yeah, 10 Roger. Well, CJ said hello, and say hello to Jackie for us, and you guys take it easy, and yep, it's always a good time, man. It was fun. It's always fun every time we come out here, but yeah, good stuff, no doubt. Anyway, John, you take it easy. We'll catch up with you next time. I'll let you know, and I'll shoot you a text when we're rolling in. Hopefully, maybe it'll be on a weekend, and we'll get Josh out here as well, and it'll be pretty cool. But anyway, Motormouth Mall, Bobby Boucher, this little 18-wheel mobile. I'm back out, and I'll see you.
14. Yeah, I was wondering where Josh has been. I haven't heard Josh on the radio in a little while. I know he's been busy doing other things, and he's busy working. He's got the two businesses that he runs, and so I know he's pretty busy. So hopefully, yeah, a weekend will be a good time. Maybe he'll be out and about and available. And also, still nothing with the boom truck. The boom truck is, I think I told you in the beginning of this whole thing, the boom truck is still waiting for the boom truck tech to be available. I keep getting shined on, and he keeps postponing it to another day, and I'm like, wow, do I maybe need to find somebody else or what? Anyway, I really want to get this thing up and running here. Anyway, all right, I'll let you go. Take care, 73s. Always a pleasure. Definitely good to hear you up in there and see you up on YouTube there, 277. Have a good evening. And James, have a good day. Good to hear you up in there on the band while you had that mall down in fine style as well. The radio station Motormouth Mall stepping and going 10-7. And I guess it's been, and Bill, we'll catch you later on. Have a good evening. And who else did I miss? So Sinio Castros over there in Brazil. Good evening time to you. Motormouth Mall waving and stepping. And we're back out in 10-7. Bolt, I see you up in there too. Did I say hi earlier? I don't know if I did or not. If I didn't, hello. And Fireball probably long left, but Motormouth Mall stepping. I got down.
Yeah, 10 Roger. I forgot to say good evening to 277 and you joint 318 and everybody else we talked to as well on YouTube. Anyway, man, that's about it for me. I'm going to shut her down. We'll catch up with you next time, John. And like I mentioned, I'll shoot you a text when we're going to roll in. And pretty cool if it's on a weekend. We'll get Josh out here and yeah, it'll be a good time. Anyway, Bobby Boucher back on the side. I'm back 10-7. I'm off the key, 73s, and I'll see you.
And 14. By the way, the tape thing on the microphone, you know what it's like? Analogy? When you're talking to somebody and you hear the bass in their voice, and then you put your hand over your mouth and hey you. Well, the bass goes away, but it focuses the mid-range. And so you end up with the mid-range, but no highs and no bass. So it's the same thing, I guess, that happens with the tape on the microphone. All right, it's later on 73.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it was then, because that's exactly what it sounded like. It was more mid-rangey and flat. So, yeah, that makes sense. Good deal. Mystery solved.
Oh, Roja. See ya.
Check, check.
Bobby Boucher, I tell you what, sir, he put about 9 inch units on me over here in the Magnolia.
Yeah, I heard that station calling me, man. I didn't get the 28th, though. It's pretty rough. But you still got a copy on me. I want to let you know I heard you.
Mr. Bobby Boucher, dirty white boy, South Bend, Mississippi. He put about 9 inch units.
Yeah.
Dan Roger, dirty white boy. I got you up in there that time and said I'm...
Yeah, look at these.
That's Mother Nature thing, man. I'm pointing straight south. The back of this truck is looking towards Mexico and the Pacific Ocean, so that's a good deal, man. I appreciate you letting me know I'm making that trip out there, dirty white boy. Catch up with you another time. Have a good day.
Fine style. I was wondering if you was out in the driveway there for a few minutes there. No doubt about it. Well, hey, Mr. Bobby Boucher, Mr. Motormouth Mall, man, God's gracious to y'all. No doubt about it. Old dirty white boy gonna be on the side.
All right there, dirty white boy. You take care of 73s, and good to hear you out there, and appreciate you chiming in over here on the channel this evening, 7-3, and have a good evening out there. Dirty white boy, Motormouth Mall waving, and 277. I am pointed east right now. The break.
Got me that there, Motormouth Mall. Yeah, it's definitely making a huge difference on my end for sure.
Tell this 3P.
In for it.
I don't know if I got this radio a little hot or not there. Maybe all right. Have to play around a little bit some there.
Hey, 277, there's a difference between 125. Oh, that's right. We're on channel 14. Well, there's a good 1,500 anyway. It was supposed to be a little bit more than that, but it's more when I'm down on the bowl. But there it is, 1,500. That's you right there, break.
Louisville, Kentucky. Anybody got a copy on this 189 Louisville, Kentucky?
Yeah, I got you up there on Louisville, Kentucky. You're doing your thing out there around Louisville. Ain't no doubt about that. Motormouth Mall waving.
Mall be Mickey Mouse, 189 Louisville, 118 in the Magnolia.
In there, 118 in the Mag and Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse in Louisville, Kentucky. I got you up in there too. 189, I believe, and 118 Motormouth Mall looking around the Magnolia in Louisville, Kentucky.
Hey, we appreciate it, Motormouth Mall. You have yourself a fine one. I just got done cutting the grass. Boy, it's hot here.
John, it being hot out there, and you just got through done cutting the grass. I appreciate you bumping that hammer down and looking around this neck of the woods. That's for doggone sure. Motormouth Mall looking. Break up.
Rainbow, there you go, Charlie. Come on.
How about it, Mr. Motormouth? Hey, Motormouth Ball. Clean your station up, man. Hey, Motormouth.
I got like 4 or 5 different stations all poking up in here real strong. I don't know where they all came from, but they all started coming out of the woodwork there, break.
Hang it up, man.
About it, Motormouth.
What's going on there, Cruz? Hey, Cruz, let me take a look around Outlook in Mocha, Mexico one time. Let me turn this antenna just a little bit farther. Hey, Cruz, I'm going to turn the house around and look around Atlacomulco, Mexico, just a little bit more for you right there, right now. Hey, Cruz, if you got a sloppy copy, I'm looking your way to break.
Right there, right now, teacher, right back in my radio. Let's go. Good evening.
Doing a real good job there. Hey, sounding real good. Did you get the amplifier? You didn't get the amplifier yet, did you? Say you had a Watergate rolling out here now. I heard you say something about having a Watergate rolling on Motormouth Mall out here, and I got you up in here too. You're up on this gate. We're looking at the 2-hour, 19-minute mark on the, I believe the third gate of the day, possibly. Is it the third gate? I believe this is the third gate. Yep, the third gate of the day at the 2-hour, 19-minute mark, Motormouth Mall cruising break.
Big signal, teacher.
Big signal.
So doggone it, I say I put a live gate up, man. 281 Watergate, no crybabies. That's where it's at. Good evening to you. Hey, Motormouth Mall, #1 in the Bayou with the good evening radio, baby.
Dinner #1 in the Bayou. You say you put it up on the 281 No Crybabies video gate page. Hey, on Facebook, you say you put it on the 281 No Crybabies video gate page on Facebook. 281, I mean, #1, Unit 1, Motormouth Mall waving right there, right now. Break.
WDBLC in my radio.
Man, all that kept making in the show did. But anyway, good evening to you. All sounding good as always. Been a pleasure on this end of Mama. Ain't no doubt about it. Hey, Motormouth Mall, Mr. 1 in the Bayou. I'm back reading mail.
They're 1 in the Bayou. I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate you bumping it down up in here and taking a bit of time out of your busy schedule to take a look upon the west side as well. A1 around the BYU, Motormouth Mall, looking breaker.
You ain't got to look. It's all about you, man. You might be the only one out here, man, on 27.125, man. It's all about you. Ain't no doubt about it. Like I say, it's been a pleasure on this end. You can go check that gate out when you get a chance, man. You sound a whole bunch of good.
Big audio, big signal.
Sure will. Check it out. Ain't no doubt about that. I will check it out indeed. And I got it written down here so I won't forget, too. Hey, I got it written down so I won't forget. A1, Motormouth Mall, your West Coast beast waving. And cruise around Atlacomulco, Mexico. Big audio, big signal. Radio station, Motormouth Mall waving. Break Oh, I got on key.
Waving, you have a good signal, big signal, right back.
410, I appreciate that, I do. Hey, you got that mall down, Motormouth Mall. Whoa, stop. Turn the volume down. Turn the volume all the way down here on this thing. You got that mall down, Motormouth Mall stepping.
Stepping with 30 dBLC in my radio.
30 dB. 30, that's a lot. You sure about that?
Yes, big signal in my radio. Big audio.
Yeah, that's what you did. I just pushed the record button over there, and I got a whole bunch of you over here. Check this out real fast. Watch this.
Yes, big signal in my radio. Big audio.
There you go. Big audio right back. I'm trying to return the favor. Hey, Cruz, I'm trying to return the favor around your neck of the woods. Your West Coast under modulated beast, El Professor, got down right there. Breaker, Ahimanda, La Ley.
The teacher, waving in the skip.
Waving in the skip. And now off the X, I see you up in there. You gotta watch the video feeds because your radio ain't big enough. Oh, well, at least you're watching the videos. That's close. That's a start. Motormouth Mall waving break.
Bray. In Rancho Solilona.
Yes, Ahimanda La Ley in Rancho Soliluna, Santa Maria, California. Radio station Motormouth Mall. Got down. Aquí suena La Buena.
Yes, ahí suena la que buena la radio.
Sí, aquí suena la buena. Aquí suena aquí la buena.
That's right.
Oh, Roja.
Holy cow.
Made it to the bluegrass state.
Try to make it to the bluegrass state every now and again. I get lucky sometimes. Motormouth Mall waving right there around the bluegrass. Your West Coast beast got down.
327, have a good afternoon. I want to go back to the 15 there, Warren.
With the microphone right back in the little EQ.
410. Hey, I just found the video gate page. I'm going to give a quick listen to something here and see what I hear. Motormouth Mall cruising. I shall return. Hold on, I'll be right back there, Cruz.
Okay, teacher. With the microphone more bass or more high? Allow DX lane, allow DX lane in the radio, in the skip SIP radio, channel 14 AM.
Well, here you have to run DX lane. DX lane, the Bluebills crew, 277
Microphone, static, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, fighting. This is microphone static teacher Motormouth Mo. This is microphone static right there, right now, right back in Mexico City. From Mexico City with my music in the background. With my music, little music in the background. With the little EQ, you are 6kW. You are 6kW, little EQ in the skip. In the CB radio, testing, little audio processing.
I'll tell you what, that sounds real good over there. I don't know if I should stop this video gate because I don't know if that's going to make a problem for the video. Son of a gun. I was going to make this for Bobby Boucher, and I might have had a little bit of copyright information. I want to make sure everybody on YouTube understands that the music on the video was not property of us, and that it was Alan Parsons' project. That's Mama Gumma from Alan Parsons' project. Motormouth Mall stepping right there, right now, and the West Coast Beast dropping the hammer from time to time in the wonderful world of sound. Cruise around Atlacomulco, Mexico, Motormouth Mall, your West Coast under modulated beast waving one more time.